Yeah, now. Okay. Hi, Happy New Year and welcome to the first community meeting of the year. Today, Kiali 179, Spring 101, so let's go. How is tradition, we are going to make a summary of this sprint. We'll see the highlights of this new version, a preview of the next sprint, and to finish, we'll have the community discussion. We closed this sprint with 72 pull requests. And of course, we have some epics from last year that we are going to continue doing this sprint. So yeah, go to Kiali highlights. First is going to have the mic Yosune to talk about high waypoint process from Graph.
Yeah, thanks, Alberto. So we have been working on improving the support for Istio ambient mesh. And for this, we have been doing some changes on how to visualize the waypoint proxies in the Kiali graph. So the waypoint proxies are an optional component of Istio Ambient, which handles the layer 7 processing between the workloads. So as they are part of the ambient infrastructure, they have been hidden by default in the Kiali graph. Now there is a new display option to visualize them that will be just available when we are in an ambient mesh. And in the Kiali mini graph, the waypoint nodes will be always visible as they don't have these display options. We have been done also a couple of small improvements here. In the workloads graph, the waypoint nodes had an out of mesh warning, which has been removed because they are part of the infrastructure. And in the summary panel view of the graph, we could see a link to the waypoint proxy applications, which didn't really exist. So it has been removed. And that's it, Alberto.
Thanks, Yosune. Well, now Hai is going to show us new features in Kiali about Gateway API, so I'm going to stop sharing to let him share his screen.
Thank you, Alberto. So in this sprint, on Kiali side, a new feature was added. One of them is to support Kubernetes reference grant objects. And this is done also in the wizard from Istio config list. So Kubernetes reference grant is objects to make a cross namespace reference between HTTP routes and the different routes and gateways to the service from another namespace or to the secret from another namespace. So what we can do here in this wizard, I can show that we can make a reference from bookinfo, HTTP routes from bookinfo to the services which are in Istio system. Hit the preview. It will generate the reference grant preview from the HTTP routes from bookinfo namespace to the service from the namespace the reference grant will be created to the Istio system. Checking all the namespaces. And you will see that the reference grant is created. And it comes also with a validation. If you put the non-existing namespace name, it will show the error that namespace is not found or is not accessible. Also, these reference grants are also made to link between HTTP routes and services. And there were another features added during this sprint is a listing of support gRPC, TCP, and TLS routes, which are experimental for Istio and for Kubernetes Gateway API. So on Kiali side, we will have support of listing those objects without validation, and so in this release, without having in the wizards. So when these objects are created, they will be listed. They are editable, but be aware that as they are not supported itself because they are experimental, there is no validation so far. It will be added soon. Once Istio is also supporting, and these features are going from experimental to the released, Kiali will be supporting them as well. So that's it from my side. I will stop sharing. Thank you, Alberto.
Thanks, Haik. Nice demo. Let me share again. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to share anything else about these slides, Haik?
That's it. Those two slides, this and the next one, was covered in my demo. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So now Haik is going to share us the status of the multi-cluster effort. So go ahead, Nick.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. So for multi-cluster, the big feature we added was being able to add links to inaccessible clusters. And a lot of the multi-cluster features that we've been adding is assuming that you have a single Kiali that has access to multiple clusters. Well, what if you have multiple Kialis that don't have access to each other's clusters? This gives you the ability to manually specify some configuration. And then on the clusters page, you'll get a link to the other Kiali so that you can easily jump from one Kiali to the other without granting access to the other clusters. So this is helpful in environments where you don't want to give Kiali access to multiple clusters, but you still want some way of accessing those Kialis from the UI. And the other thing to mention is that we're nearing completion with the beta phase of multi-cluster. What this basically means is that multi-cluster is getting close to being feature complete. So that includes things like automated testing and support for OpenShift and whatnot that still need to be done. But we're getting close to the point where multi-cluster is feature complete. We support primary mode, primary deployment models. So things are coming along. That's all I got.
Thanks, Nick, for the contribution in this effort. And finally, Jay is going to introduce us the mesh topology. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, could you go back one slide just for a second? All right, thanks, Alberto. So you'll see what Nick was talking about here on the top image is the current mesh page. And it's a listing of the clusters that we know about, a little bit of information about each one in sort of a column format. We're looking to move away from this and into a topology view of the whole deployment that you've got in your mesh. So now you can go to the next slide again. Thanks. So this is very early in the development, but this is a basic idea of what we're trying to do, which is to show a topology view of your mesh, basically, and the infrastructure that exists inside of it. So even in this picture here, you can see that you've got a cluster, you've got a bunch of namespaces. You can see the Kiali, which is basically got links to Prometheus and Grafana and Jaeger, or some tracing back end and so forth. The idea being, right, that you're going to be able to then select these things, and similar to the way that we've got the traffic graph, you'll probably have a side panel, which will then give you a bunch more information and let you move around. So this is early going. If you have any ideas about this, feel free to share them with us on Kiali Slack or Istio Slack Kiali channel. And yeah, just to let people know what's going on. Thanks.
Thanks, Jay. Great work. So, what else has Kiali been busy with? So, we did some notable changes in Kiali, like upgrade the ICO HTTP client libraries and Cypress. We removed the Jaeger traces and will be emitted in OpenTelemetry, etc. And we fixed some bugs, most of them related to the interface, like fish on paintings, double scroll bars, in-world logs, etc. For the Spring 101, like I said at the beginning of the meeting, we are going to focus on some metrics that we have from the last year, like the new topology, multi-cluster, mesh page, etc. And we have some backlog items to address, so go for it. And we want to remember that any new contributor is welcome and that you can contact us in the Istio Slack on the Kiali channel. We are looking forward to seeing how the community grows, so don't hesitate to reach us. For example, we have a new contributor working on a possible translation of Kiali into other language, so these kind of contributors are amazing. And finally, we give way to the community discussion. Thank you.